What's up, everyone? All right, well, here we are. It's Wednesday morning, and I can't believe it, but it is a second red day in a row. Two red day recaps. Yesterday, I was down $6,200. I think it was two stocks I traded, or maybe it was three. And then, yeah, it was three. I was green on two of them, and then I had a $10,000 loss on the third one. Well, guess what? Today, I also traded three stocks. And you know what? I feel a little bit frustrated because I didn't have one good trade today. So of the three stocks I traded, I didn't have a single trade that was really good. Although I had a couple of small winners, they didn't work out nearly the way I expected them to. And I'm a bit perplexed because the overall market is so strong, right? We look at the S&P 500, which I always have on the top left chart up there, and the market is just tremendously strong. I mean, it's borderline parabolic in terms of as far as the overall market can go. It's really wild. And that actually made me think that maybe that is actually the problem. And that's a good problem to have. The overall market is very strong. I'm grateful for that. I know a lot of you guys have long-term holdings. I have long-term holdings. So the overall market being strong is a good thing. However, it does make me wonder if it's pulling attention away from small caps a little bit. I mean, after all, look at NVIDIA. NVIDIA up 5% just today. Or Tesla. These are really, they're volatile. And I'm wondering if because we have heightened volatility, if more people are trading them and perhaps trading options on them when they might otherwise be trading small caps. Small caps are where you typically get 50 to 100% moves. But you can get 50 to 100% moves trading options on large caps when the market is volatile. Now, I'm not a big options trader. I've done it in the past. For me, I find the risk to be greater than the reward, for me personally, and for the way I trade, and just for my mentality. Like, it's just my strategy is so dialed in with jumping in and out quickly that options, are usually not liquid enough. And when they are, they usually don't move enough. And so in the time span that I want them, to move in. So in any case, I don't know if that's the issue, but I wonder. The government shutdown, I don't think that's really has been a factor as much. But I think another factor is that we had a theme that was working really well, and then it stopped working. So we're kind of in between themes. What has been working, of course, VSEE, the big penny stock that made a huge move yesterday. So we've had some penny stock moves. Look at CMBM. This one today, I don't have a single trade on it, but it went from 60 cents a share to $3. It was a huge move, but the bulk of the move happened before 7 a.m. It was really early. 4 a.m., 5 a.m., squeezes up. So, that's not the time of day that I'm typically trading. So it makes a big move there. PPBT, this one makes a big move as well. And this one, I'm red on. And it's a bit frustrating. So how did I trade this? Well, you can see we got this big squeeze here from 60 cents all the way up to $1.30. And what I was thinking about was VSEE yesterday, which went from 60 cents approximately to $4. And then I was thinking about CMBM, which just this morning went from 60 cents to about $2.40. So when PPBT hit the scanners, I'm like, yes, it's definitely cheaper than I typically would prefer to trade. But I'm asking myself, are we in a theme right now where these are working? So it had already rallied up like this. I pulled it up and I hesitated right here because it was right at $1. And I was like, these can work, but sometimes what happens is they pop over $1 and then they flush really hard and then it's below $1 and it's just not great. So it ends up pulling away here, and I bought this micro pullback right there. I got in right there, and this thing squeezes up to $1.30 and then knifes back down, and I ended up stopping out. I held at $1.10. I was like, well, let's just see if this does a first 1 minute candle and surges back up. And then as it flushes there, I ended up stopping out, and I lost $6,000. So this is my P&L for today, $6,200 in the red, almost the exact same as yesterday. And thank goodness I was up 20,000 on Monday. So at least I have a cushion on the week and I'm not red on the week. I'm not happy with where I sit in terms of 2 red days in a row, but big picture, I'm still green on the week, so that feels good. And I'm still green on the month, and that feels good as well. So PPBT was my first trade, lost $6,000 immediately. And I was like, well, here we go. It's another red day. And, am I going to get a chance to recoup this? I don't know, but let's just see what happens. This ended up going sideways here for a while, had a chance to curl. It didn't, it failed. So that sold off some more. And then a little bit later, it rallies back up. And I was like, well, I'm not messing around with it. So we've now had halts up, we've had halts down, we've had some whipsaw, jackknife candles like what you see right here. So, just whatever. These are typically difficult, and that was the case today. So then the second stock I traded was SMX. This hit the scanner 8 a.m. with news, and look at this thing. I jumped in as soon as it hit the scanner, getting in at about 470, pops up to 540. I take some profit off the table. It ends up going red on the day, 25%, in spite of breaking news. So now I'm very confused. Even breaking news is not working? What is this? What is the deal with that? ERNA. This one also popped up, breaking news. And although it held up a little bit better, you can see it has ascending resistance right up here. I managed to lose $1,400 on that one as well. So today, I just got to a point where it was like, all right, guys, the writing's on the wall. I hate to say it, but it's not happening. I'm trying to find good setups, and nothing is working. And to be fair, I'm probably trading some B quality setups because these stocks are a little cheaper. SMX was a little light on volume when I got in. And the alternative would have been a no trade day. And of course, in hindsight, it's easy to say a no trade day would have been better than being red 6,000. And yesterday I could have said the same thing. So maybe I should have held my discipline and not taken any trades yesterday. And maybe I shouldn't have taken any trades today and just sat on my hands and said, I'm going to wait this out. I'm not going to feed, this choppiness. I'm just going to sit on the sidelines. I don't want to participate in this. So now I can make a decision of what I'm going to do for Thursday and Friday. We're coming to the end of the month. It has not been a good month. In fact, it has been the worst month of the entire year for me. Now, that is, and this has been a good year. You can see right here, just about 6.8, $6.08 million on the year. So a little over $6 million on the year. It's been a great year. But, if we look at the profitability by month of the year, March was 162,000, August was 118,000, and right here I'm at 46,000 in October before today. So, that knocks it down to 40,000, and it's definitely been the worst month of the year. But let's not lose sight of the fact that that day hurt pretty badly. $172,000 in the red. Right? So if it weren't for that, I would be in much better shape on the month. It wouldn't be the worst month of the year, but that's life. This happened. And so even though the rest of the month has been, decent base hits, slow, but base hits, being red 6,000 yesterday and 6,000 today, that doesn't really move the needle in a big way. What's more disappointing is that these aren't $25,000 green days, and that the market just isn't giving that opportunity for those types of gains right now. So I would say that at this point, October is a salvage mission. It's not about hitting goals. It's just about survival and, scrounging what little I can from the last 2 days just to finish, with a little bit more than where I'm at now. And I have very low expectations for the rest of the month. I know, of course, that as it always is the case with trading, things can switch on a dime. Very quickly, we can suddenly have something that starts to become obvious and pulls away. And VSEE yesterday was giving me that sort of, feeling like, okay. And then it failed, and it gave it all back. So that was a shame that it didn't hold up better. All right, so going into tomorrow, I'm just going to focus on managing my risk and just taking highest quality setups. Yes, I had a nice cushion on Monday. I used that to get a little aggressive on Tuesday. That didn't work. Came in today, was like, okay, yesterday's theme was penny stocks. Here we go. And then that didn't work. So now tomorrow, Basically just back to bread and butter, waiting for those A quality setups. And if we don't see anything, I'd rather just not take any trades at all. And, if it ends up finishing this week, Thursday and Friday, with no trades or very, just a couple of trades, but they're good, that would be a fine way to finish the week. It's not exciting. It's kind of boring, but being boring and up 6 million on the year is a good place to be. So that's where I'm at here today. For those of you guys that haven't already checked out my episode on stock selection, I'm going to put a link to it here. I'll put another episode to the 5 reasons why traders lose money right here if you haven't seen that. And I'll remind you guys, as always, that trading is risky. Manage your risk, take it slow, and always practice in a simulator before you put real money on the line. With that, I'll see you guys bright and early tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.